Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me is Russell Rhoads, Head of Research and Consulting at EQ Derivatives, for an update on VolQ trends and early 2021 outlook. Russ, it's great to see you as always. And VolQ was pretty weak last week, despite the Nasdaq-100 being down as well. You would think the inverse would be the case here.
That's normally what you would expect, but there are a couple of things this time of year that happen to volatility indexes, and I think even more so to VolQ. One is the holiday effect actually gets in there. You got to remember these things are calculated using calendar days, and this week, we're closed Thursday, and a lot of people just don't even show up on Friday. So that starts to show up with respect to the implied volatility of options that expire after the holidays. But also, it's VolQ is more of an at-the-money measure, and I do see that the implied volatility of out-of-the-money Nasdaq option contracts, out of the money puts specifically, is actually holding up. So I think it's more of an at the money issue with Nasdaq 100 options, but then also there's not really any catalyst for any of the big members of the Nasdaq 100 in the next few weeks. So that might be another reason that we saw a little bit more pressure on VolQ than would be expected over the past week or so.
And Russell, with that, what's your outlook for VolQ through the holidays and into early 2021?
Well, I think that headwind is gonna kind of stick there for a little while with VolQ, but as we get past the holidays and we start to move into January, the large companies in the Nasdaq 100 will be reporting earnings, and VolQ does start to adjust around earnings season. It's one of the great things about this volatility index is it does have a little bit more of an anticipatory nature to it relative to other volatility indexes. So I do expect, regardless of what's going on in the overall markets, that you will start to see a little bit of tailwind that starts to push VolQ up a little bit into January, regardless of what the underlying market is doing.
All right, let's get into the nitty gritty bit here with Skew. What else are you seeing in Nasdaq 100 vol?
Well, last week, and I kind of backed into this one, but last week I was kind of looking at the tape and I came across a 200 lot in the Nasdaq 100 options using the standard December expirations. And what somebody had done is they'd sold 200 of the 10,600 puts, and they bought 200 of the 12,700 calls. Nice wide spread there. The calls are about 5.7% higher than where the market was at the time. The puts are 11.4%, actually twice as far to the downside. They put this on at a little bit of a debit, but basically you've got twice the buffer to the downside as you do to the upside before this trade starts making money on the calls. So what I did was then I took a look at the Skew, and those 10,600 puts, they were pricing in an implied volatility of 35%, while the out-of-the-money call only had an implied volatility of around 21% or so. So even though VolQ was under pressure last week, I do see premium or juice, as the traders like to say, still in out-of-the-money, especially out-of-the-money put options on the Nasdaq 100.
All right, Russell, thanks for joining us on Trade Talks as always.
You bet.
And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.